Hey everyone, Cosmos here from DolyGames. In this video we're going to be looking at patch 7.5 new willpowers. I already published 2 videos on the first 2 of the 3 new willpowers, and this is going to be the third one to complete the review of the 3 of them. So if you're jumping straight to this video, then the new UI of patch 7.5 has changed so that you have to hover your mouse on the icons below before you open the willpower. It's a cleaner look, just a little bit extra effort to open the window, but I think it's fine. It's a cleaner look. So if we pop that open, we have the 3 new ones. We have the Sea Witch, we have the Death Spectre, and we have the Eagle Warrior. I've already published the videos on Sea Witch, Death Spectre, so if you're interested in those, please refer to the blog or the YouTube channel to see the posted videos and information. So this video is going to focus on the Eagle Warrior. So let's get going. So the Eagle Warrior requires a Frost Dwarf and a Blood Demon. Of course, upgrade levels should be level 10 or higher. I remind or recommend you guys again that you get level 10 and not more, so that you merge them or fuse them at level 10 and not level 11, 12 or whatever. So just make 10s, merge them, and then upgrade them to 11 and so forth. So that's the merger bit. That's the same mechanic, and also he will require a memory crystal and demonic blood in the same amount as all others, which is 3000 memory crystal and 1000 demonic blood. So let's go into his preview and look at his skills and his stats. So first of all, he looks cool, of course. It's nice looking willpower, and we can see already from the stats that it is a magic attack willpower, because the magic attack is at 87. Physical attack willpower, because physical attack is at 93%, magic attack is at 87%. Bear in mind again that these are level 12 stats and level 12 skills, so when the patch does arrive on regular servers, nobody is going to have that straight away, but of course over time people will have that. That's why we're looking at the long-term picture at level 12, so that we can see what this willpower is going to be about, what he can do, what he cannot do, and what kind of stats he has. So apart from the attack, he's got the physical defense and magic defense at 94%, which is similar to the other 2 that I did a review for, and also the HP at 99%, also similar to the other 2. The HP 99% is basically saying that it's pretty much the same health as the main character, which is pretty impressive. So it's kind of like getting closer to the main character. So then we have the skills, and it's designed as 2 passive skills, 6 active skills, and 2 Delphic skills. So we're gonna start with the passives. So let's go. The first one is the Primitive Roar passive skill at level 12. Again, I remind you, it's level 12. 20% chance to generate a shield that can absorb 200% of damage to yourself. So that's pretty interesting. 20% is 1 every 5 turns. Of course, it can happen every turn theoretically speaking, but just in average, once every 5 turns. It lasts for 2 turns, so if it doesn't get hit, of course the shield will go away. But it's basically a passive skill shield, which can just activate itself out of nowhere. So that's interesting. Then we have the Wild Heart, increases physical attack and defense by 20%. And the other willpower that I did a review for had the physical attack and HP. I actually think that defense is better. So in that logic, this is a better passive than the other one had. Still, HP is very nice as well, but defense I think is better. So that is going to increase his battle rating more as well for this willpower, because both of the physical attack and the defenses, which is both magic and physical defense, are going to directly increase his stats, which will increase his battle rating. Let's go with the active skills, which are the 6 over here. So first one is Assault. Deals 380% damage to an enemy in the back row, 2-second cooldown. So this is his basic skill. Damage is not impressive. It is the same figure that the healer had. So I'd say let's just ignore this skill. It does have a 2-second cooldown, so you can cast it fast, but still. Next one is Wilderness Axe. Single target, 2-second cooldown, 330% physical damage to an enemy with the lowest health percentage. So this is even worse. It does hit the one with the lowest health, but the benefit of that has been reduced over time. So if you would have to pick between these two, I think you would go with a 380% just to have more damage output, because it's no longer guaranteed that the strong guy is in front, the weak guys in the back. They're all kind of formation settings, and this lowest HP benefit does not really come in. Is not interesting in many situations. It's very rarely that it becomes beneficial. So next ones we have Half Moon Cut. Cooldown 15 seconds, 2 random targets, 440% physical damage to them. So this is of course a larger damage figure, so in that sense it's interesting. It's also like a half AoE. It doesn't hit everybody, but it does hit 2 targets. It actually guarantees 2 targets. So in some cases where you only have 2 targets, such as the magic square with 2 enemies, or a PvP against 1 person where the sub demon has died and you just have the main character and his willpower or his demon, in those cases that's as good as an AoE. So that's an interesting skill, Half Moon Cut. Then we have Attack and Kill. Deals 380% physical damage to 2 to 4 random enemies. Again, 2 enemies are guaranteed. Then by luck it could be 3 or 4, so it's kind of again a semi AoE. But the bad thing about this one is that the damage figure is really bad. 380%, it's the same amount like the healer had. So if you're a warrior, you should have more than a healer. So I'll say no to that skill. So far actually not very interesting. So low damage figures, half AoEs, and the only one we saw that was decent was the Half Moon Cut so far. So let's hope the last 2 active skills are good, and we'll look at the Delphics. Lion's Roar is the next, 380%, again the low figure, 380% to all enemies, and reduces target's defense by 5%. But now this is different. Here you could accept the lower damage figure. First of all, it's a guaranteed AoE. It does have a longer cooldown, 30 seconds, but that's kind of okay. 30 seconds, you could do it. Let's see, in Portal you usually get to do 2 times the 45-second cooldowns. Just as a rough idea. So the 30-second one, yeah, it's not so rare, but it's also not so frequent. But anyhow, it is an AoE. It'll hit everyone, and the good thing about it is it'll reduce the defense by 5%. Now 5% is not an enormous number, but it is a number. So, and once the defense is lower, that means the damage that you do afterwards is going to be higher. So it is an interesting skill. It's not like it's not super impressive. Nobody is gonna lose sleep over this skill, but it will be a skill that you will have in your you will add to your active skills together with the Half Moon Cut. All right, let's have some more hope for this last active skill. Coercion deals 455% physical damage to enemies in the back row and increases own block rate by 5%. Last 2 turns. 30-second cooldown again. Now the damage figure is very good, 455%, but of course it does not. All the skills now that we saw so far do not compare to the other willpower that I reviewed before this one. But still, it's a decent damage. It is a longer cooldown at 30 seconds. It does increase his block rate, but it will be useless unless you actually equip him with higher block stats via equipment refine or via Yeah, you would have to really put some block to him, because if you don't, then this 5% is completely useless. It could be useless even if you do add block, because the enemy could just have much more penetration. So the block rate part here in this skill is not entirely impressive, just the damage figure is good. So then we have the Delphics, the two Delphics. So let's just one word on the active skill. So I would say he has just two interesting ones, and not even that interesting. Just like one interesting one and one semi-interesting one, and not very interesting other ones. But his passives are good. He's got this ability to put a shield up and the increase in the stats. So, and bear in mind that the physical attack increase from the passive, of course, gets on top of these. So 455% is then supplemented by the passive skill. So that'll mean more damage. Okay, let's look at the Delphics. We got Delphic Shredder. Alright, as the name suggests, the damage figure is high. Deals 710% damage to random enemy and decreases damage received by 20%. Now that is definitely a very good skill. Both the damage figure is very high and also makes it harder to kill him for 2 turns. 20% damage reduction is pretty significant, especially if that shield kicks in at the same time. That's going to be a really good combination. Alright, let's look at the second one. Delphic Second Assault deals 530%, so significantly less than 710 to enemies in the front row, but it hits the whole front row, although there are not so many cases where everybody's on the front row, and increases own defense by 20%. Now that's not as good. This is better. This Shredder is clearly better. You wouldn't even need to bother with this one. So what will happen is, if you do take Eagle Warrior as your willpower, you'll probably end up putting the Delphic Shredder, the Lion's Roar, the Half Moon Cut. There's going to be 3 skills, and you'll have to pick 2 more. Well, then you'll have to take the you'll also need the Coercion because of the 455% damage, so that makes it 4, and then you'll need 1 more, and probably you'll take the AoE simply because it'll hit more targets. The damage figures are the same between the single and this one is even lower. So you'll literally take just this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. That'll be your 5 skills and your 2 passives. But overall, not entirely impressed with this one. He looks much more amazing than his actual, technical performance. So I'm not sure how popular he will be. I think not so much. Although some people who want to use like a damage absorber, which like mages use Sacred Knight, for example, with the same logic. You could take this one, but Sacred Knight actually has much more interesting skills than Eagle Warrior, so I'm not so sure about that. Sacred Knight has a guaranteed shield. He can reduce incoming damage for everyone. He can also intercept, and those are all very interesting things that this one does not have. So I'm not entirely sure if Eagle Warrior will attract too much attention. There will always be some people who will select him, but I'm just wondering if there will be a mass of people or just a few, and I think it'll be just a few, especially compared to the other willpowers that we have. The shield is interesting. That's pretty much the only thing. The shield together with the Delphic, but he'll have to survive long enough for them to get activated. He might be taken out before that. So theoretically the shield is once every 5 turns, so it could be that first 4 turns he doesn't get the shield, and of course enemy character can kill you demons or willpowers within 4 turns. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about. Also that he is a little bit confused. So he looks like a very defensive character, but he basically doesn't have any defensive skills. All of his skills are attacking skills. His only defense thing is the shield and the sub point inside the Delphic, which is actually an attack skill. It just has a sub point that it decreases damage received. So I'd say that this is a confused Willpower. I'm not sure a lot of people will pick him, but I do predict that people will take him simply because he looks awesome. But that'll be people with a lot of resources who can afford to take all of them, and then they'll just use him just because he's handsome. That's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do click on like and subscribe and share with your friends. And if you like my work, please support via Patreon or PayPal or whatever. It always helps when people do that, so that I can continue working and making content for everyone. All the links will be in the description of the video. I also opened a playlist for Wartune patch 7.5 where I'll be adding all 7.5 videos in there. And like I mentioned, everything will be linked in the description of the video. So thanks for watching and have a very nice day.